Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Points, where we discuss all the breaking news related to finance and tech. And boy, do we have some news for you guys today. Now, if you guys didn't see the previous episode, here's a quick rundown. FTX had a big fallout. Initially, Binance came out with a statement saying they were going to sell all of their FTT tokens. This ended up causing a little bit of a debate between SBF, the CEO of FTX, and CZ, the CEO of Binance. In that argument, it led to CZ essentially causing a bank run on the FTX exchange. Essentially, pretty much hinting that everyone should get their funds off of FTX as quickly as possible. And that's exactly what happened. Well, it turns out FTX didn't actually have all the funds that they should have had for their users. And because of that, FTX was forced to pretty much close the company and file for bankruptcy as of today. Now, I want to back up a couple steps and explain to you guys where we currently stand with this whole issue, because unfortunately, a lot of people, including myself, are pointing at all of this being the worst event to happen in crypto since its inception, and it most certainly can be, simply based on the scale and how many companies and individuals this is truly affecting, whether you used FTX or not. I mean, the prices in the market speaks for itself. But the main issue with what's going on right now is the amount of institutions in the crypto space that had their toes dipped into FTX and could most likely also be getting screwed over as well due to this whole debacle. Today, like I said, FTX outside of the United States and inside of the United States has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This shocked many because about 48 hours ago, the CEO himself said everything was okay. Everyone could withdraw, all their funds were safe, especially for those in the United States. Well, fast forward 48 hours and here we are. Whether you're in the US or not and you haven't withdrawn your funds just yet, unfortunately, you might be in a sticky situation where you cannot access your funds for at least a very long time, if ever. I am so sorry to anyone out there watching right now that lost money with FTX or other companies that are having some effects because of FTX's collapse. It can't be emphasized enough how detrimental this is to the lives of daily people. Put aside institutional investors, put aside these big companies, the average people put their money, some of them probably their life savings, into a company like FTX, and turns out it was a bunch of fairy dust. And the biggest concern, for me at least, is how many big names, politicians, big investors, were such backers of FTX. And that's not to say they necessarily knew about everything that was going on behind the scenes, but more so the fact that FTX was in pretty close ties with Washington, D.C. SBF himself, the CEO, is one of the largest known donors to the Biden administration. He has very close ties with Gary Gensler, which is a big stickler in the crypto space. There's a lot of people that are high up that were backing FTX since the beginning. And another thing, I don't want to get too deep in this video because this isn't the video to get that deep in. That's for another time. But another thing that's pretty crazy, get this. SBF's mom is the lawyer for Hillary Clinton. And not to say there's necessarily ties there, but the fact that SBF created FTX out of thin air in 2018 and it became the massive conglomerate it is, just doesn't make all that much sense. A lot of people are skeptical as to if FTX was destined to fail intentionally, giving the United States government a reason to step in with regulation, or if this wasn't intentional and this all just unfortunately happened due to the arrogance and negligence of a few individuals in the company. So as of now, it is estimated that FTX owes investors roughly $10 billion. $10 billion they are short to their users. I don't think there's anywhere in the world they're going to get $10 billion from anywhere. I mean, nobody's going to step into this cesspool of corruption, negligence, unlawfulness. It is truly heartbreaking to see because, like I said, this is touching so many investors. But just aside from that, even companies not involved in this whole debacle are getting slammed right now. Solana is a perfect example. FTX was a huge investor in Solana, and they also have a large portion of Solana's circulating supply on the exchange. So Solana, if you guys haven't seen, over the past couple of days has had a drastic hit. Other examples are other exchanges that are also experiencing bank runs, not to the same level as FTX, but they are experiencing outflows of cryptocurrency. Now, don't get me wrong. As you guys know, I'm a big supporter of crypto.com, and I think there's a time and a place for individuals to use centralized exchanges. For big time players in the space, people that are extensively involved in crypto, have a high understanding of the space, or they have the ability to store their crypto safely in a hardware storage. I think, of course, that's absolutely what you should do. But to the average investor, most people aren't going to be comfortable storing their crypto on on a hardware wallet. To the simple factor, they're maybe afraid they're going to mess up. They don't want the risk of losing their private key. And yes, there's common sense which comes along with it. You need to have a basic understanding of what you're doing. But at the end of the day, an 85-year-old grandma that wants to get involved in crypto, she's going to be more comfortable leaving her crypto on an exchange like Coinbase or crypto.com that has insurance and a high level of security. But again, I totally understand both sides of it. And like myself, and I'm sure most of you watching, you probably use both sorts of storage, whether it's a centralized exchange or a cold storage as well. Now, because of this whole debacle, like I was saying, this has caused a lot of mayhem in the space. Most notably, companies involved closely with FTX. For example, BlockFi. BlockFi announced today that they were forced to halt withdrawals because they were so reliant on FTX. And this includes a large variety of companies, as you guys can see right here, that were closely tied with FTX, whether FTX had investment in them or they had investment in FTX. So unfortunately, it's not just like one company falling and then we all move on happily ever after, like we were able to do in the past with some other companies like Celsius Network. That was a big one, but it wasn't so extreme because they were a little bit smaller and they didn't have so many ties with other companies. But that's why this is so significant, and this can truly have a massive downturn on the crypto space, especially if the government, the White House, decides to really step in with some serious regulation, which I personally think is not the way to go. Of course, when you stunt technological growth, when you stunt innovation with regulation that is pretty much designed to be managed, pretty much designed to control older forms of technology like Web 2.0, that's going to hinder the entire space from growing in general. And that again would just be the United States, but as we know, wherever you are in the world, the United States is usually the first person, the first country to really take initiative in something new. So it is scary to see right now. I am concerned. I truly am, and I wish there could be more optimism. Don't get me wrong. I think 5-10 years from now, the crypto space will be thriving better than ever. We'll all look back on this and think of how crazy it was, but we will all be okay in the end. If you did lose a massive portion of funds from either BlockFi or FTX, BlockFi as of now is just suspending withdrawals. They have not declared bankruptcy or anything like that. You should definitely get in touch with a lawyer. There's many groups out there that you can get involved with where it's pretty much a pool of victims with what's going on, and you guys can all lump together, share information, and save a lot on legal fees and stuff like that. It's so sad it has to come down to this. But at the end of the day, we're just going to have to see where things go moving forward. One other thing, SBF, the CEO himself, did put out a statement today. And quite honestly, guys, it is so pathetic of a statement. This man absolutely deserves to be in jail for what he's done to so many people. I mean, we're talking about $10 billion, guys. This is not a little bit of change, and the majority of that is the average investor, retail investor. He said, "Hi all, today I filed FTX, FTX US, and Alameda for voluntary Chapter 11 proceedings in the US. I'm going to work on giving clarity on where things are in terms of user recovery ASAP. I'm piecing together all the details, but I was shocked to see things unravel the way they did earlier this week. I will soon write up a more complete post on the play-by-play, but I want to make sure that I get it right when I do." The responses to these tweets are perfect. I mean, he's not taking any real true credibility for what he's done. He's not. All he's doing is saying, "I'm sorry." At the end of the day, he got caught. His company got caught gambling with users' funds, and it's unfortunate the way it all happened, with Binance pretty much unfortunately initiating this debacle, but it was inevitable. This could have been done better, but it is what it is. So since then we have seen a handful of exchanges come out and say that they will be publicly showing their funds that they hold for users' funds of the exchange, not their own holdings, but for users, to show that they actually have users' monies one-to-one, and they're not out there gambling users' money away. Crypto.com did post their holdings today. Along with Huobi, KuCoin, and OKX, and I believe Coinbase as well, will be soon releasing their holdings to give more transparency as to where everyone's money is at. Because this is really concerning, and I think it's going to be a minute till we can put this behind us and move forward as a community. It's devastating to see. It truly is. I personally never used FTX or BlockFi, but considering FTX has its name plastered on a stadium in Miami, I would not be surprised if many Americans, and of course people all around the world, lost out big time with all of this that is going on. So yeah, that's it, guys. Unfortunately, not that exciting of an episode. There's not really anything positive to talk about today. I will continue to keep you guys updated on this whole debacle. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on this whole situation. And if you guys are enjoying this style of video, I would truly appreciate if you would let me know in the comment section below, so I can know if you would like me to continue this style or try something a little bit different. Thank you guys, and I'll catch you in the next.